Hi, this is Vivian Reed, and welcome to my channel. In this video, I will be speaking with Mr. Alan Mercer. He is simply a great photographer. So as young people come into the business, you're wondering what kind of photos do you need for someone interested in becoming a photographer. If you are at all interested in this subject, then there is some valuable information for you. So keep watching. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Vivian Reed. Now you know this channel is all about show business, okay? So anything you want to know about show business, especially you young people just coming into it, this is the channel that you want to watch. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe, leave a message, leave a comment, and don't forget to like and say nice things. Don't be sending me no shitty ass things. Say nice things, okay? Now, in this video, we are going to be talking about photography. Do we really need it in show business? Do we need photos? And to have this discussion is one of the best photographers out there. He is simply great at what he does. And his name is Alan Mercer. Hi, Alan.
Hi, Vivian. What a joy to talk with you today.
Oh, you too, honey. Now listen, do you think that young people starting out should submit selfies, photographs taken of themselves by themselves? Do you think they should submit those kind of photos to agents?
No, not really. Only if it was an emergency and you somehow needed just any kind of representation in the last moment, then I guess you wouldn't have a choice. But overall, you cheat yourself.
Yes. And number one, you're not really getting the quality photo. As what a good, because there are some bad photographers out there, as what a good photographer will take of you. And also, too, these days, you really don't have to go to the expense of reproducing photos like we had to do years ago, where you were like, you'll get 100 made up, 150 made up, 200, because everything is electronic, right, Alan?
Exactly. Exactly. So that is a great savings there for people.
Yeah. So whereas they may have to pay for you or another photographer to get photos made, they save in the end because they don't have to have them reproduced because they can send it electronically. Now, if they want to have their photos retouched, now this is another thing, people listening, especially you older people who's been in the business for a while. How far should they go with the retouching, Alan?
Well, I mean, if it's to get jobs, then you got to be real careful, and it should just be if it's something harsh looking, then soften it. But as far as like leaving the character lines around the eyes and around the mouth and all, you have to do that. You have to leave it. Now, sometimes I'll say like the neck area still needs to be taken care of no matter what. But overall, if you show up to an audition and your picture looks 20 years younger than you, they're going to just pass you on. They're just going to go by. Yeah, and because it's a common occurrence.
Yes, it is, because you're not looking like the picture they're looking at, and then you come through the door looking 30 years younger.
Yes.
Don't do that. Please do not do that. No. And in the terms, as far as young people are concerned, listen, you all ain't going to have that many issues. Okay, because your skin is still nice and supple and young looking. So you're not going to have those issues. This really part of this conversation is really directed to older actors who want to have everything taken out of their face. Now, granted, if you're doing a nightclub act somewhere and it's going to be on the glamorous side, then we could go a little further, right, Alan?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I also say that most times when we look at somebody in real life, our eyes aren't focusing on, like deep down into, you're just seeing the whole person. But in the picture, those little areas that no one sees in real life become like road maps,
Baby, stop right there. Because, I don't do photography anymore because I'm off into my poncho and scarves, but I was a photographer for 10 years, as you know, Alan.
So good.
And, thank you. I learned a lot from watching you.
Oh, wow.
What Alan just said about what the eye sees, what the naked eye sees when we look at each other, baby, let me tell you, I'm in the mirror, right? got my makeup on. Ooh, I'm looking good, honey. Oh, yeah, that's going to be a fabulous photo. And then I take the shot. What the hell? What the hell? Where did that come from? I didn't see that in the mirror. So what you said is so true. So what I used to do for customers or clients, when they say, okay, Vivian, can you take care? I said, look, I'll take it as far back as what I see when I look at you. I'm not going to take any more out of your face that's going to take the character lines out. I'm not going to do that because the people, the directors and producers and casting directors, they don't like that. But I'll take out what, if I don't see it in your face when I'm looking at you, then I'll subtract that. Sure. And so it's very true. The camera, man, it enlarges everything, things that you don't see when you're looking in the mirror. And then all of a sudden you take that picture and it's like, what in the hell? All right, Alan, let's just talk about, before we finish, just plain headshots for the industry. We're not talking glamour here. We're talking for actors.
Right.
What should they do or not do? What should they bring and not bring in terms of clothing, in terms of makeup?
Yeah. Okay. I say that's where natural as possible, and it's 100% about what you, the subject, bring to the photo shoot, meaning your personality. So no dramatic makeup and no dramatic clothes. I always stick with solid, simple line on what your neckline is important, and just a solid. I don't want to see a hot pink, probably.
Yes.
Keep it more muted and earth tony, and just real basic. It's not exciting photography. It's not exciting pictures. It's pictures that represent you.
Good, because you don't want your picture or what you're wearing to upstage what the casting director sees or what the agent sees. So that's actually great information. What about jewelry?
I say no, or
Me
minimal.
too.
No to minimal.
Yeah.
You can have a little stud in your
stud
ear.
or something, yes.
Yeah. But I don't think any of it. You gotta let the casting people envision you in whatever role they're envisioning you in. So you need to be plain and relaxed, confident. All those things are what you, the subject, bring, but you don't need to have heavy makeup or fancy hair. You're supposed to wear your hair exactly the way it looks 90% of the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if you're wearing wigs and whatever, if this is the way you look 90% of the time, as Alan said, then wear your hair like that. Because trust me, if they pick you for a film or for whatever, they will trust me, they will have a hairstylist there. They will have a way that they want your hair to look, and they will take care of that.
Yeah.
Well, let's deal with someone who, say, wants to be a photographer. They may not want to be an actor. They may be listening to this as to what you have to say just for information because they want to be a photographer. What would you say to them?
Well, shoot more. Just keep shooting, because like anything, the more you do it, you will inevitably get better. And every one of us can get better all the time. I look to get better. I haven't shot the best I've done. I mean, it's still to come, I think. People have a right not to like their pictures, and no matter what you feel about them, as a photographer. So just remember that, and just do the best you can, and be sincere. Sincerely want to take a good picture of them.
Okay, here we go. We all know what this is. Alan, don't even get me started on this. I see people out and about taking photos of themselves, and that's fine. But Alan, enlighten us. Me, I know, but enlighten those people who are watching. When should we use the flash and when should we not?
Well, if there's no light around, you need to use the flash, and that's.
But what about overhead lights that's casting shadows?
Yeah. Well, that's pretty horrible. So I would use a flash.
Okay, stop there.
Unless you're by a window and the window is just shining right on you, then you don't need one. Or if you're, outside in a shaded area when you're looking at the light, then you don't need one. But other than that, you need it.
Alan, Lord have, I don't even know where to start. It'll be after a show. Oh, Miss Reed, can we have a photo with you? I said, but you have to put on your flash because we're out in a lobby where there's this down lighting, and I already know what it's going to look like. Oh, no, Miss Reed, you don't need a flash. Oh, no, I take really good pictures. I said, you do? I said, okay, let's take one. So we take a picture, and just like I know it's going to come out, the shadows, and it's orangey looking. Mm-hmm. I said, you really think that looks good? You don't think that looks good? I think that looks pretty good. I said, do me a favor. Just indulge me for a minute. Do you know how to turn the flash on your phone? And most times they don't. Why? Because they've never used it. So I'll take their phone, fumble around until I get the flash turned on. I said, now let's do another photo. We'll do another photo. And they'll say, oh, wow, that looks really good. I said, the reason why it looks good is, number one, you're not in front of a window where you have the benefit of daylight. And yes, if you have the benefit of daylight, especially if it's on a cloudy day where there's no harsh sun shining on you, then you're going to have a great photo. It's really flattering light. I said, but if you're in a lobby late at night where there's down lighting, it can't bring out the features of your face. And so I have really converted quite a few people because they just don't get it. How the hell did you get started? What led you into photography?
Well, I was always interested in photography, and I was always interested in like performing arts. And so they just kind of went together, and I went to a little bit of photography school when I was pretty young. But then I got sidetracked because I started doing art. And that
when you say art, like drawing
and painting, and things like that. Yes. So for some reason, I went that direction for about 10 years in the 80s. And then in the 90s, I was like, that's for the birds. Everybody needs, everybody needs photography. They don't need drawings. So that's what got me into that, and I just, mostly it was the public reaction to when I would take pictures of people I knew, and everybody would go, you have an eye, you should learn how to do it. So that's what got me going.
I would venture to say that even though you did study it for a short time, that probably you evolved because of your experience and just being out there and taking photos, right?
Yes, of course. The school was more about developing negatives and things like that, which we don't even do today. So It wasn't what do you need to know to take a good headshot or portrait or anything.
Okay, so now in the beginning, now you're back to taking photos. Did you do a lot of people for free?
Yes.
So that they could, I did the same thing. Go ahead, tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, I just would ask people, that inspired me. I would say, that I knew a little bit. I say, can I take your picture and see what we can do? And then after doing that, and I started making prints, and then I put an ad on Craigslist in the 90s. And
wait a minute, back up. I never thought about doing that. You put an ad on Craigslist saying what exactly? That you were a photographer, and if they were looking for a photographer, contact you?
$50.
For $50.
I said, I will take your picture for $50. And I got a few people, so and then I got a display at a restaurant in Dallas where I photographed all the waiters and waitresses and people like that, but I made them look glamorous or,
Okay, wait a minute, Alan. Wait a minute. You taking us way too fast. Now, wait a minute. Somebody called you up after seeing your work and offered you this thing to go into a restaurant or to shoot?
Again, people I knew, and I just said, what if I photographed the waiters and waitresses, but not like this, but make them glamorous and handsome and all that. And they were open to it. And so everybody back then it was film. Everybody paid for their film and they paid for their print. So I didn't have to spend a dime in the frame. So, and they got to keep it when it was over.
Yes.
And then I got jobs. That's how I got my first jobs.
Okay, that is so amazing because that speaks volume. Because number one, and listen to this, those of you who are watching this video today, and especially you young people, you have to put yourself out there. No one is going to come knocking on your door. Yeah, maybe they'll come knocking on your door after you're a superstar and you've been out there for a while and you have a name. But in the beginning, just like what Alan said he did, this is what you have to do on all levels. You have to put yourself out there. But at the same time, when you put yourself out there, you got to be ready. See, Alan took a bunch of photos for free. He needed subjects so that he could see what he needed to correct and become better. All right, Alan, this is such great information. Okay, now at the same time, were you doing just regular headshots, like for people who just needed plain headshots for the industry, or was it mostly around people to be glamorous?
No, both. I did. And I also did just like couples, people that wanted like a couple shot in there. It was mostly like the restaurant that the pictures were in attracted to a more upscale clients, you know?
Yes.
So they were the kind of people that might enjoy a large blow up of themselves, you know, in their house. Not that old stuffy photography like, you know, that you see where everybody looks real statuey, you know, family stuff. I did stuff more lifestyle that you'd see in magazines and stuff.
And much more interesting to watch and to look at, I am sure. How did you get into shooting these mega stars? And I mean, and most of these are glamour shots, and yes, you have shot some regular headshots, but I mean, your glamour shots. Name some of the people you've shot. I mean, these are big names, Jesus.
Well, my very first job in Los Angeles was Steven Spielberg.
What?
Not exactly a glamour shot, but it was, I started my website in '97 with the intention that somebody in Los Angeles would see it and hire me. And somebody did. It was a director by the name of James Mall, who won the Academy Award for The Last Days documentary about the Holocaust survivors. And he worked with Steven Spielberg, and he says, we're doing a shoot with Steven and 6 other directors from around the world. They're flying in. We want you to do the shoot. So I moved to Los Angeles. Just
for this shoot? Just for this shoot?
I said, if I'm going to shoot Steven Spielberg, I just need to live there.
Okay, so wait a minute, back up again. So there was someone that you shot, and they liked, obviously,
on my website.
Who found now? So how did he get to your website? I mean, were you advertising?
No, he just went on. The internet didn't have really photography websites in '97.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Didn't. So he went on the internet and just did a search.
Unbelievable.
And I came up, and he flew to Dallas, and we did the shoot. And then he said, I want to hire you to can you come to Los Angeles in April? And I just made the decision to move. It was just fate.
Yes.
It was a fate.
I mean, when you talk about being in luck, being in the right place at the right time, I mean, this was so amazing.
It's luck, but it's also intention.
Yes.
I did the website with the intention to be discovered, basically.
Wow, that is so amazing. Okay, so now you get out to LA and you do this shoot. Were you nervous?
Oh, beyond nervous. As a matter of fact, I hired an assistant who had many, many years of experience and we used the Hasselblad. Which I don't know, that's that big camera they used to photo. Like,
explain that camera to our viewers.
A Hasselblad is like the most expensive camera on earth. And it's the kind that they always use to do Vogue and, covers and things like that. So, and the negatives were big,
So we're still talking about film here at this point.
Yeah. Oh, film. Yes.
Yeah. Now, did you have an assistant when you were in Dallas?
Yeah, well, I did, but nobody with that experience or anything, because it wasn't required.
So, that's very smart, because you said, okay, I'm going to do this huge job. Because some people, they get into their ego and think that they know it all. We don't know it all. No. How we learn is when we ask questions and when we surround ourselves with other people who do know. That is how we learn. That was very smart, Alan. Okay, so you get to the shoot, you meet Steven Spielberg, and
and he was filming a movie, Minority Report, and of course, just like always, he's got 1 hour we got to get all this done in 1 hour, and that's it. It's like a wedding party. It was so
Yes.
many people. So yeah, I mean, I was nervous, but he wasn't making me nervous. He was actually pretty easy and
Yes.
pretty easy to deal with, but just the situation. But
So,
anyway, it all turned out.
so okay, after this was over, was it this particular shoot that led to you shooting some of these other big stars? Because I mean, you've
Well,
shot some of the biggest.
ultimately, the other thing in the acting world was I had just photographed the character actor Danny Trejo, who's
Mm-hmm.
got all the tattoos and the long hair.
Yes, yes.
So he was on the rise. His career was on the rise at that time. So that helped me a lot. That gave me an identity more than Spielberg, frankly, because Danny was pop culture.
Yes.
And then I wrote a letter to Mamie Van Doren, the 50s bombshell.
Wait a minute,
And
you wrote, wait a minute, stop now. I got to stop you when you hit points that I'm like,
no,
what?
no worries.
So you didn't know Mamie.
No,
You
I
knew
wrote her.
of her.
Yeah.
And wait a minute, you sat down and wrote a letter to her. You know her, she didn't know you, and you just wrote a letter saying what? Asking what?
Asking if she would ever allow me to photograph her,
Oh my
because
God.
I thought that I would be good at it. And she wrote back and she went, "Yeah, I think so." But that
I
was
mean,
it.
the chutzpah. Oh
Yes.
my God.
Yes.
That is so. Were you like shocked when she wrote back to you and you got this letter?
Yes. But I was frustrated because she didn't commit. She
What
just
do you
said
mean she
yes.
didn't commit? She
She just
what?
said, "Sure, we will," but she didn't say, like, when do you want to do it, or when can we? She was just like, "Yeah, I'll do it," and the end of story. So then I had to write back and go, "Well, exactly when? When can we do it then?" You know. And around that same time, I did get a call from an agent in Hollywood who represented the golden age actress Jean Simmons of
Okay.
Hollywood, who did, Spartacus and all those movies
Yes.
like that. And she was looking for a photographer. That was like an audition, because there was 20 of us there with books. And I was
Wow.
nervous. And I was like, I have to get this job. I have to. I was pretty ambitious because I said, I'm the one who can see. I'm the one that can do it.
Now, wait a
And
minute. For those of people who don't know books, you're talking about your
yeah,
portfolios.
yes, a
And had you
portfolio.
started one?
Oh, yes, I had a
Okay.
portfolio, but I mean, maybe not so many famous people, but just,
Yeah.
shots. And anyway, so she was the one. I go in there and meet her, and instantly she said, "Finally, I'm seeing something I like." She said,
What?
"This is the one." It was that fast. You
That,
know what? Because I was unpretentious.
yes.
Everybody was so pretentious and so full of
Okay,
them.
except just give some examples of that. Being unpretentious and being pretentious. Give us an example of a photographer with his portfolio or her
Yeah.
portfolio being pretentious. Come on, I'm telling you to act a little bit. Give us an example.
Well, I mean, when you come in there and you've got a real serious look on your face and you think you're better than the job, maybe, and that it's almost this little thing's beneath me, I'm, something, that kind of feeling that people, and I think it's just
Yes.
fear. I don't think anybody felt any more confident or anything. It's just a fear thing that people use, especially younger people. I mean, that's the
Right.
truth. I was competing with a lot of younger people.
And you were older at this point? A
Well,
little
yes,
older
I'm
than they
40.
were
I'm 43 at this
at that
point.
point.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah.
Now, do you
So,
hear that? Do you pay attention to this? Unpretentious versus being
and
pretentious
humble.
and humble.
That's
Yes.
this thing. I've never been that I'm. I don't have that air about me,
No, you don't.
and I think that is what has helped too. Is not. I, there's only room for one ego, and it's the person I'm photographing.
Yes.
That's what it's about.
Okay, Alan, when you are photographing, let's stick to people who are doing glamour shots. When
Hmm.
you are photographing these subjects, and we refer to them as subjects, what are you asking of them to do just in order for this photo to come out and just be
Yeah,
fabulous? What do
the
you
way
ask
to
of your
get
clients?
the way to get the best photograph is for you, the subject, to trust me. to trust me and let go. And I always tell people, don't care. Just let go right now. You don't have to care about a thing. You don't have to care about these. If nothing turns out, so what? It's a few minutes, and it's a big no. So no harm. If you don't like any of the pictures, then no one in the world will see them. So it's just trust. It's a trust issue.
Okay, Alan, now that you've brought that out, I have to well, I think you already know the story, but for those of you who don't, which I'm sure there's many of you who don't, let me just ask you this, and I'm going to tell you something. When you are photographing these subjects, are you just only dealing with taking the photo and that's it? Or are you making sure that there's nothing out of place, like a lapel out of place, or maybe that's folded in, or hair going crazy? Do you also deal with that in case something is wrong with their hair or something is wrong with their clothing?
Yes, it depends. If I'm the only one there, then yes, 100, and then it makes it much harder. I will say that because it's going to involve to be looking at. But many times, I have a person who's there specifically only to look at hair, and then a person
Fabulous.
specifically only to look at jewelry. Jewelry is the hard thing.
Meaning
And
what? What does that mean?
well, I mean, earrings go backwards, like dangling earrings turn backwards, and you want them both, as front and center as possible.
Yes.
The little necklace pieces slide off to the side, it's constant with that kind of thing. And, any of it with clothes, if you move, the clothes can change. So if I'm fortunate to have somebody, I'll have 5 people there. All you have to do is look at this,
Well, okay, I don't know if I ever told you this, but what got me into photography, and I'll just make this very short, is that I had been shot by some of the biggest photographers around the world, and I mean just fabulous photos,
Oh, yeah.
and also a wonderful photographer in LA. Well, darling, I'm in New York, and I decided, you know what, let me use a New York photographer. And so I'm not going to call any names. So I got this one. It's a woman, and she was charging quite a bit. I had never paid that much for a photo session in my life. Anyway, so I had a makeup artist there, and during the photo shoot, she was still on film. She took one Polaroid, and I was, Lord have mercy, I was almost as dark as a blackboard. And I said, I'm a little dark. I think you probably need to do another Polaroid and adjust the lighting. And I wasn't a photographer at that point. And she said, really? Okay, I'll do another. And I'm saying to myself, she can't see this. Anyway, so she does another Polaroid. Yes, I'm a little lighter. But just let me say this. When I was shot by Roland Bianchini, who has since passed away, but he used to shoot a lot of the big supermodels in Paris, he did a minimum of 15 Polaroids until he got that lighting right. I mean, so she stopped after the second Polaroid. She did not want to do. And then another thing, she stood very close to me. Now, yes, I didn't know anything about photography, but I had been shot by a lot of photographers. So I knew something. Oh, hell yeah. She stood about 3 feet from me. And then I saw her zooming in. Now, what is that going to do? That's going to distort your features. That's going to do all kinds of... I was so ill at ease. I knew that this photo shoot was going to be just awful. So she finished, and now I'm upset because I know this cannot possibly be a great photo shoot. So about 4 or 5 days later, her assistant calls me up and says that they have the contact sheets. So I go down, and just as I thought, Lord Alan, you ever look at something like, oh no, this can't be. So you keep looking at it and keep going back to it because you don't believe your eyes, and maybe your eyes are tricking you. That's how I was going through these contact sheets. They were just awful. I was too dark, my features were distorted, and my hair was a mess. Because the makeup artist, he had done what he had to do and left, and I know a lot about makeup, and so I had my stuff to touch up and do whatever. But she did not take care of me at all. And then her assistant says, oh, aren't they wonderful? Oh, aren't they wonderful? And then this photographer comes along and she says, so what do you think? Aren't they just wonderful? I said, I will get in touch with you in a few days. I will call you and give you my thoughts. Because I didn't want to say anything. Because at that moment, if I had said something, it would have been awful. So I waited a few days. I called up a friend of mine who was a top model for Givenchy at the time. And I said, Lord, I said, these photos are awful. She said, oh, Vivian, come on. How can they mess up that face of yours? I said, Sandy, they're terrible. They are really terrible. So she comes over and she looks, she said, oh my God. So I called this photographer up and I told her, I said, you know what? I can't use any of your photos. Not one can I use. Well, you know, come, I'll do it again and I'll shoot it outside. And you know what? I have to blame this on myself. And I'll say this to people watching. She had about 25 portfolios. I was really basically half responsible for this because she only had photos of about 4 black people. There is a difference.
Oh my
shooting God. White skin, and I'm going to let you elaborate on that in a second, and shooting black skin. You must do the what you have to do to adjust for the different skin tones. She did not. Just as I thought, these were just, and so all this money that I paid, it was just lost. So I just went and grabbed an old Canon camera and started shooting myself with a remote, and they look pretty good. So, you know, I shot hundreds, maybe thousands of shots, did like you did, invited people in, and people said, oh, these are really great. Who shot this? I said, I did. They said, Vivian, you have an eye. So that's how it started with me. So, Alan, explain how important it is to know your subject, their skin, and how you should light them, that there is a difference between black skin, brown people, black people, white people, that you can't do the same lighting.
Well, that's what I call cookie cutter photographer. That means they never move, they never change anything, and they just do everything exactly the same.
Yes.
Whereas I think the approach has to be individual.
Yes.
Just based on the reality of the day and the person. And obviously, if someone has a darker complexion, you have to open up your aperture.
Yes.
You have to have a little more.
You would think.
You would have to have. But, you know, it's really, to me, that simple. I mean, it's not that complicated. I don't know why it's so challenging for some people.
I mean, if ever when I see you in person, I may still have those contact sheets. This is years ago. I don't know. But if I do, I will definitely continue to keep them so I can show you, because you're just not going to believe this.
It's the perfect example of horrible.
Yeah, it is. It is a perfect example of horrible. But you know what? It led me into wanting to learn photography.
It was an investment then.
It was an investment. And
in yourself.
Yes, in myself, and also be able to shoot my own photos, my own headshots. Yes, I forgot to ask you. So obviously you're into digital photography. Did that come about quickly, or did you say, yeah, because you said, okay, now people are leaving film, so I better get it together? Was it a learning curve?
Yeah, I was one of the first. I had to. I got a digital camera like around 2001.
Wow.
And I started. I did that in addition to I would do the film for the job. Then I go, do you mind? Can I take some digital pictures now? And of course, that's how it wasn't too much longer. And, you know, there was no film.
And looking at both of these platforms, which do you prefer?
Oh, I prefer digital.
Hello.
Yeah. I have no romanticism about film.
Yeah, because you can see them instantly.
I like,
and you can see what you need. Me too, baby.
Yes.
You see what you have to adjust and everything. Alan, I cannot thank you enough. This has been such invaluable information, as this channel is devoted to show business and all aspects of it. So thank you. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard from one of the best. And you know what? He has covered it all. You know, he just doesn't do white skin. He does black skin, light skin people, all kinds of people.
All kinds of people.
Plain headshots, glamorous headshots. So, Alan, I know you're in the Dallas area now. So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you for a shoot, how would they do this?
My website, alanmercer.com. And
alanmercer.com.
Yeah, you can reach me there. I'm also on social media. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram and all of them. So I'm probably the easiest person on earth to find, you know, because I'm right there. And,
yeah, you have a strong presence on social media, which is great.
And I like to talk. I like to talk to people about, what they want and all that. So, you know,
Okay.
it's easy.
So, okay, you young people out there or people in the business as actors, as performers, you've gotten a lot of information just on that. And for people looking to be a photographer, you've gotten a lot of information on that. So he's given you great stuff here. So pay attention, listen to it, and then put it to
And
work.
good luck.
And good luck, baby, because it is all about good luck. But here the thing is, you want to be prepared. It's one thing to say, I can do this job, but have you really studied it and learned the job where you can really produce that job and give the client what they're looking for? That's the important thing as a photographer and as an actor. Leave your ego at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know better than to come in with some plaid shirt or some striped shirt. You heard
Mm-hmm.
Alan say solid clothing. Very little makeup, ladies. Okay? So you want your face to stand out. Nothing upstages you. So we say thank you to Alan Mercer, and do get in touch with him, alanmercer.com. His site is fabulous, and you can get in touch with him at his site or either on all social media platforms. Take care, Alan. It was great,
Bye,
baby.
Vivian. I love seeing you.
Oh,
I
honey.
love everything. I listen to you sing all the time.
Anyway, darling, we will talk soon, honey.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.